Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Novia De Vega. I have co-authors. His name is Mr. Johnny Appendi. We are from Borneo Tarakan University. In this occasion, we would like to present our research with the title Student Perceptions of Online Learning in Teacher Training and Education Faculty. Without further ado, let me show you our introductions. The effect of coronavirus disease or COVID-19 on education and teaching is moving online with unpredictable teaching technique and strategy. Student assessment are also moving online with a lot of errors and uncertainty for everyone. The global lockdown of education institution is going to cause a significant interruption in student learning, disruptions in internal assessments, and the cancellations of public assessment for qualifications on the replacement by an interior alternative. Nowadays, the new challenges of online learning are more accessible for everyone and no longer make excuse not to learn. According to Anderson, online learning can present challenge to educators as the tools and opportunities to discover student preconceptions and cultural perspective are often limited by bandwidth constraint, with a limit to the user view of body language and paralinguistic clues. This research aims to describe student perceptions of online learning based on the questionnaires. The data can be useful for the departments, faculty, and university to evaluate and control study at home during a global pandemic. It also can be contribute to know the quality of online learning. Online learning as the alternative due to all education atmosphere runs well. The components of the teaching and learning process must be controlled and evaluated in system of educations like quality control in educations, learning experience, and learning outcome must be achieved. According to Alavi and Daphner, the conceptual of the online learning process as follows. The first process, idea generating, implies divergent thinkings, brainstorming, verbalizations, and those sharings of idea and positions. The second process, idea linking, provide evidence of conceptual change, intellectual progress, and the beginning convergence as a new or different idea become clarified, identified, and clustered into various positions. The third phase, intellectual convergence, is typically reflecting shared understandings and is especially evident in production, whether a theory, a publication, an assignment, a work of art, or a similar output authorized by group or subgroups. The five-stage model provides an example of how participants can benefit from increasing skill and comfort in working, networking, and online learning, and what e-moderators need to do its states to help them to achieve this success. Individual access and the induction of participants into online learning are essential of steps. For online conference participants, stage 1 at the base of the steps, stage 2 involve the individual participant establish their online identity and then finding others with whom to interact, and stage 3 participant engage in a mutual exchange of informations. Stage 3 form of a cooperations occur whereby each person support the other participant goals. At the stage 4, course-related group discussion develop and the interactions become more collaborative and then individually. At the step 5, participants look for more benefit from the system to help them achieve personal goals and reflect on the learning process. It can be concluded that online learning active mass enjoyable rather than offline learning. Okay, in this research, the researcher use the survey approach. A survey is a method collecting data from people about who they are or education finance, how they think or motivation and belief, and what they do. It's about behavior. to collect the data from students about what they think and perceptions, and across sectional survey as the type of the survey. They collected the data by using questionnaire that distributed by online firm. This research used a public opinion survey that classifies or purpose-based classifications. The sample of the research decided by using Slovin formulas for the sample size. The total sample of this research was 336 students for all departments in teacher training and education. The questionnaire of this type of research was as the instruments. The questionnaire is adopted from Concordia University. The questionnaire has two sections. Section 1 is on personal information about the respondents. The section 2 is about the statement of online learning. And then they fill out of the form, then give feedback for bias questions, options, multiple interpretation, etc. So that's why the researcher had given a questionnaire as the pretest or pilot. Okay, the percentage showed the respondent perception as their opinion. Then all the research findings were conveyed descriptively by the total of respondent and percentage. In this research, the researcher found some findings. The online questionnaire result that already filled out by 336 students in teacher training and education faculty. In this section, the result of students' characteristics consist of gender, age, and semester. Female 272 or 80.95% was dominant respondent, then male 64 or 19.05%. It also had related the most students in teacher training and education faculty were female. The students were asked to the estimate number of hours spent per week using gadget for educational purpose and exploring the internet, such as Instagrams, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, online games, and etc. Various 154 students or 45.83%, they had a long duration using gadget. On the other hand, 134 students or 39.88% were most exploring the internet with durations 6 to 10 hours. Those reflect on duration using gadget for exploring the internet by the majority of respondents. The student reported giving prior experience with online learning related to the internet connection, satisfaction with online learning, online courses, motivation, and etc. The statement motivation in online varies 161 or 47.9% and 41 or 12.2% that strongly agree and disagree with this statement, although 150 or 44.6% of the respondents had to access the internet for study. The respondents were asked about individual participants establishing their online identity and then findings other with whom to interact. 175 or 52.1% of them like much interactions with the lecturers, but it contradicts with the comfortable communicating by online. The respondents felt uncomfortable doing communication by online, but they were still active in the online classroom in interaction with lecturers. The respondents were asked to engage in individual or mutual exchange of information. 171 or 50.9% of respondents they are able to manage study time effectively and efficiently complete assignment on time. The respondents were asked whether they use course-related group discussions. 152 or 45.2% of respondents were enjoy working independently. Respondents were asked about experience in offline and online had benefit to study. 157 or 46.7% assume agree with the benefit of their background and experience to study. The overall of the questionnaires, it can be concluded that 336 of respondents fill out 21 of items with the student characteristic. The most respondents were female at the age between 18 to 22 of the second semester who gave the response of questionnaires and durations using gadget for exploring the internet by the measuring of respondents. Moreover, to know student perceptions, the researcher made the 5-stage models. According to the theory of Salmon, 5-stage model provides an example of how participants can benefit from increasing skill and comfort in working, networking, and learning online, and what e-moderators need to do at each stage to help them to achieve this success. In conclusions, the most of respondents had access the internet for study and capably using the keyboard by their lack of motivation in online learning. The respondents felt uncomfortable doing communication by online, but they were still active in interaction with lecturers. Third, the respondent need to review the material and make a priority to manage self-discipline. In online learning, the respondent prefer to work independently rather than in groups. And the last one, the respondent assumed that offline and online learning activities were different situations and the goals. Thank you for listening. May all those we have shared be beneficial for all of us. I would like to invite you in the discussion forum. See you there.